what are some suggestions you have on how you can work through that and overcome it?
Yeah, I have an hour-long live stream that I need to put on eWebinar because when I tell you I went in on this, and I do not go live for an hour. That is not in my
Yeah.
wheelhouse, but it was an hour long. But there are several steps in this process. And so one of the first things I always want people to do is to start to practice mindfulness, because when you
Hmm.
practice mindfulness, it will allow you to actually catch it. So if you've had imposter syndrome for a really long time, sometimes you don't even recognize it. Sometimes these habits are just so naturally ingrained in you that the only way you're going to catch it is if you're practicing presence, right? So practicing mindfulness, just being very intentional with journaling, deep breathing, meditation, just quiet time, mindful walks, just starting to create more time for you to observe yourself is going to be the first step in that process. The next thing I think I'd like for you to do is, after you've observed these emotions, I want you to document when they occur, and do this without judgment. So have a dedicated
Hmm.
journal and just document. If you, like, for example, if you're watching this and something I said resonated with you, where you're like, hey, that's me. I'm always feeling bad after a win. You recognize this, and now notate when it happens. Do this for about 30 days or so. Notate when it's happening. Notate what triggered it, how you're feeling. Did you have any thoughts or recurring memories? And jotting that down. Then
Hmm.
from there, I want you to write down how you would like to feel instead, because we have to replace this old thought pattern with a new thought pattern, right? We want to write down how do we want to feel? How do we want to react? And then I want you to evaluate the differences. And this is where you may need to pull in some help, but if you're doing it on your own, you're going to have to get really centered to do this. But when I want you to ask yourself, why do I respond like this instead of like this? Where did this come from? Where did I learn this behavior? And more often than not, something from the past is coming up. It
Hmm.
may be childhood, previous work experience, X, Y, and Z. And please don't assume that because I'm saying childhood that I'm saying everyone's going to have traumatic. That's not what it is. It can be something as
Hmm.
simple as a teacher said something slightly shady to you as a 10-year-old, and that now influences how you view certain things. Like, it could be that simple. It doesn't have to be like the most traumatizing thing ever, right? And
Yeah.
so then from there, it's part of it is with where NLP comes in, is that these are so unconscious that the only way to fix it is to now make it conscious. So by you actually assessing where did these feelings and thought patterns come from, and now knowing it and seeing it so you can release it, you can now replace it with a new thought pattern. So that's like the shortest
Hmm.
explanation I could give you on
Yeah.
how to do this, but it has to be very intentional. It can't just
Yeah.
be, I'm not going to have imposter syndrome anymore.
Yeah.
That's not going to fly. It is going to require a lot more effort and work, but it's 100% doable. The first step is recognizing a behavior.